These deer are coming right up to me. I've been wanting one of these rods for a while now. It's the G.Loomis Shimano Conquest. This is the 843. It's 843c MBR, 7 foot, fast action, medium heavy, rated 1/4 ounce to 3/4 ounce. Has the Spiral X technology in the blank. Titanium Torzite guide, just like my Ecstasy. Weighs 3.8 ounces, which is considerably less than my Dobbins Ecstasy 723, which is also a medium heavy. This rod retails for $695 now. I think it used to be $675, and then a couple months ago they upped the price. About it most is the smoothest casting rod and reel that I've ever touched. I mean, the reel is buttery smooth. It almost feels like you're just reeling air, like the drag's engaged or something. And the rod has the same titanium Torzite guides as my Ecstasy does, but it just seems to cast so much quieter and smoother and more accurate than my Ecstasy does. Now my Ecstasy has a softer tip, so that's some of the reason why it casts a little bit more accurate. But I can't really explain. Maybe it's the Spiral X wrapping that this Conquest rod has on it, why it casts so quiet and smooth. But I run braid on both setups. It's just a major difference. Second thing I like most about this Conquest is how light it is. Weighs 3.8 ounces compared to the medium heavy Ecstasy I got, which weighs 4.6 ounces. And then you put this Metanium MGL on this Conquest. Metanium weighs like 6.3, but for some reason when I put it on this rod and then put them both on the scale together, it comes to 9.9 ounces. So under 10 ounces for this combo. That's how light it is. And don't let the weight fool you on this rod. This thing has plenty of power. I mean, it's pretty close to true medium heavy power, unlike the Ecstasy, which is probably more like a medium plus power rod. And then the third thing I like about this Conquest is the reel seat. Has more of an exposed reel seat. On the Ecstasy, I'm able to get one finger down here. On this Conquest, I can get 2 fingers on the exposed blank, get even more sensitivity. And the fourth thing I like is this cork. I mean, this cork is nice. First of all, I like how it's more tapered than the Ecstasy. The Ecstasy is just straight down and kind of fat. And the Ecstasy is supposed to have AAAA cork from Portugal. It's supposed to be about the best you can get. I don't know what kind of cork this is, but it looks a lot better than the Ecstasy's cork. You could hardly see any filler in this cork at all. I do like the way the Ecstasy rod looks overall. Has the Kevlar carbon wrapping that goes up to the first guide. This has the Spiral X and High Power X wrapping that goes all the way down the rod, which looks nice. I'm not really a fan of the trim color, or the logo area is kind of plain to me. The Dobbins logo area is just much more flashier and nicer looking. And I like the aluminum foregrip and lock nut on the Ecstasy more than I like this cork foregrip and lock nut on this Conquest. But from what I can tell, this feels like a really sensitive rod. Can't say for sure if it's more sensitive than the Ecstasy. I've used the Ecstasy most of the year. This I've only used for maybe 2 weeks now, and haven't used it that much in that span. So need a lot more time with it, fish a lot more different places with it, with some more rockier bottoms so I can get a better feel for the sensitivity. But my initial impressions is it's a little more sensitive than the Ecstasy. But when you get to this level, you kind of start splitting hairs. It definitely has more power than the Ecstasy rod does. Like I said, it's more of a true medium heavy rod, while the Ecstasy is more of a medium plus power rod. Sweet spot on the Ecstasy medium heavy is going to be probably about 3/8 ounce, while the sweet spot on this is probably going to be closer to a 1/2 ounce. I think the Ecstasy is going to be a little bit better to work more finesse type baits, your Nico rigs, Ned rigs. I was even throwing a 1/10 ounce Ned rig on my Ecstasy the other day, and it was doing pretty good. While this is going to be better at your Texas rigs, your jigs. Has a little bit more stiffer of a tip. There's a nice flex to this rod overall. It's just the tip isn't as soft as the Dobbins rod. Yeah, I said they both have the same guides. There's my first fish on the Conquest. It's a little dinkster. Right up on the bank too. Just a little guy, a little skinny guy. I don't know why they haven't been eating that much. Caught a few little skinny ones like this lately. I'm scared to eat with all the pressure they've been getting. Oh well, I'm just glad I caught one. First fish on the Conquest 843. Using a Ned rig, or a Nico rig, excuse me. Hi, buddy. Back you go. A little worried about switching to barbless hooks. Been wanting to try them out for a while. That's now my 3rd fish on them, and so far so good. I haven't lost any. They're easy to pull out, and if you do deep hook one, they come out a heck of a lot easier. Less harm to the fish. There's a little one. Oh, it would come off at the bank. First fish I lost on the barbless, but that happens with barbed hooks too. And he's a little dinkster anyway. There's the second fish on the Conquest. A little bit better than the first. Still pretty skinny though. It's a rough week though, I'll take it. Smells real fishy. Alright, buddy. You're free to go. What is that? Is that a bluegill? The heck? Last time I was here, there's a little bass right there. This little creek, drainage creek was completely dry. 2 little bass out there. I'm gonna be changing my main whopper plopper rod from the Dobbins 704 glass to my Tatula 7-foot medium regular action rod. Been testing that out a little bit lately, and it's just a little bit stiffer, but there's one little dinkster. Oh, came off at the bank. I've had that happen several times lately here. Anyways, Tatula's a little bit stiffer of a rod than the 704 glass rod is. Both crankbait rods, but when you long cast on the glass rod, you gotta kind of hold the rod up high to get the props to activate. On the Tatula rod, you don't have to do that. It's stiff enough that it activates right away. Kind of like when I'm throwing on this Conquest rod. I can get pretty long casts with this whopper plopper, and that prop's gonna start making noise as soon as I start reeling. On the 704, I'd have to hold the rod up high until it gets a little bit closer. But this Conquest does pretty good with a whopper plopper too. It's nice and stiff enough, it casts it nicely. Has flex on it, so when the fish do grab a hold of it, it loads nicely. I'd like a little bit more limber of a rod, a little bit more parabolic of a rod for the smallmouth. They fight a little bit different and slap at it a little bit different than largemouth. Try this chatterbait. Finally, hook up. Feels like a pretty decent one too. Best fish I've caught in a while. Finally a nice fish. He's probably close to, I know he's probably 17. About 2.6. So that's about 2 pounds, 10 ounces. He is 18 1/4. almost 18 and a half. He's a long guy, but he's skinny. 2.2 pounds, 10 ounces. I'm glad to see there's a nice one left in here. And he was running at me for a minute. Decent size. Boy, this fish looks beat up. Something hard in his belly, that's for sure. Wonder what he ate. Does not look well. I'm sorry, I can't help you, bud. I wish I could. Jig's gonna catch anything, but I at least wanted to check the sensitivity of this rod with it. There's a jig fish. Oh no, no. Tried to flip him on the bank and he came off. See you later. Back at this small pond, the Conquest 843. I'm gonna test it out with I believe it's like a 1/4 ounce Ned rig today. Bass? Yeah. What kind of bait you use? Ned rig right now. Little 12, 13 incher. The little gold pallet on him. Pretty fish here. I love the way the fish look in this pond.
That's a nice bass.
Fishing a Nico rig now. Lost my Ned rig. Haven't lost too many baits this year. It's been a pretty good year. So far this Conquest has handled about every bait I've thrown on it. Whopper plopper, Ned rig, Nico rig, football jig. Of course it's going to be good anything you drag on the bottom for bottom contact. It's an extremely sensitive rod. And this is an MBR action, but the tip on it is a lot faster than my Ecstasy 723. I think right now I'm gonna use my Ecstasy 723 as my finesse rod instead of getting a spinning rod for using a spinning rod for finesse applications like light Ned rigs, drop shot even. I think the Ecstasy 723 is going to be a really good drop shot rod for a bait casting rod. This has a really nice soft, almost hinged tip, because a soft tip does give away to a pretty decent backbone on those rods. The Dobbins rods are usually underrated. Like that medium heavy is probably more like a medium. And the tip on it is soft. I didn't realize just how soft it was until I got this Conquest MBR action rod, which everybody says they love the flex of these rods and how versatile these rods are. That Ecstasy 723 tip is way softer, but I do notice the hinge in it. It's not exactly parabolic on the Ecstasy. Like there's like a hinge to it, and that's why when I set the hook sometimes that softness of that tip will kind of hinge and then just kind of fling those fish right out of the water. Usually some fish right up against that island on the other side of all that vegetation. Yep, that one. He might have choked it. Yeah, he choked it. Good news is I see the point of the hook, so I'll be able to reverse the hook out on this one. Just gotta get my pliers out, get my nippers out, so I can cut the line. It's the first thing you want to do. Cut the line, get that out of the way. You don't want to pull on the line though and injure the fish. So you want to get all that stuff out of the way. And you see I gut hooked them, but you see the point sticking out the other way. Now if you grab that point, you can reverse it out the other way without bringing the barb through its gullet and injuring the fish. And stick the point out the side here. See how I got the point? And you're able to reverse it right out without the barb going through the gullet, hurting the fish. No bleeding from the fish's gullet. And that's how you save a fish when you deep hook them. So I've been switching to barbless hooks, but I haven't had any with me today, so this fish will be just fine. As long as that point is sticking out of the gullet and you're able to grab it through its gills. There ain't no blood or anything. This fish is gonna be perfectly fine. Some people just cut the hook and leave it in there and hope it falls out, but it can cause a lot of problems. It's best to try and get the hook out if you can. And the only way to do that really is reverse the hook. There's a little small one on the Nico rig. Probably the smallest one out of 3 here. Probably the biggest one yet. That's 4, it ain't too bad for a little short session. Love the gold color of these fish in this pond though. Told you it wouldn't take long after switching to that Nico rig. As soon as that thing landed, boy, this thing hit it. These barbless hooks come right out. Just a little guy, but man, that was a perfect cast right under that bush limb over there. Just a little guy. Largemouth. Oh my God. I just hooked a carp.